as I told our team, discipline will define this season for Maryland on the playing field as well as off the field with adhering to some of the guidelines and protocols we have in place to allow us to continue to have this opportunity. On November 20th, 2019, we walked off the field against Michigan State, and a game that we lost by 3 points. But what I remember most about that was the fight our team showed that day, the last game of the year, and I felt that some of the culture and some of the things we were trying to instill finally represented themselves visually for us. So much has changed in our world since then, including what our team looks like, obviously dealing with the pandemic, social injustice issues that have continued, and just so many different things, from temporary cancellation of our season. But through it all, the thing that really has warmed my heart is the fact that our team and our community have all kept that same fight we showed on November 19th to get to this point, as well as the same determination. And regardless of what really happens, on the football field this season, good or bad, I'm extremely proud of the way our team and the people involved with Maryland football, as well as our local community, has handled navigating this pandemic and all of the other issues we've dealt with. In terms of Northwestern, there'll be a tremendous challenge. Their team has consistently been one of our top teams in our league. They're coached very well. I know Coach Fitzgerald, really, really well, have the utmost respect for him. And, it's amazing to see him having spent time here as a GA when I was a young assistant and knowing his track record and his background, you see his personality come out with his team and how they play. And they're a disciplined bunch. They have an experienced group of players. I know last year they probably aren't as happy with how things played out, but what you've seen over the consistency of Fitz's tenure, that they always seem to bounce back, and they're a formidable opponent for us as an opening game on the road. A tremendous challenge, but one that, again, our team is very grateful and thankful for this opportunity. He's obviously done some really good things, and I know his team will be ready, as will ours. We had our final scrimmage Friday under the lights here at Maryland Stadium on our new turf, and I can tell you I was really excited with what I saw out of all three phases Friday night. We still got a little work to do, some tweaking of some of our systems and things of how we want to go into this game, but I can tell you that our team is excited about this opportunity we have coming up. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start with Sean Stepner. Sean?
Hey, Coach. Sean Stepner, WMAR, ABC Baltimore. Good to see you.
Hey, Sean. How are you?
I'm good. Who's going to be your quarterback?
Well, we've got two really good ones. As I've said before, we've got some two guys that have competed their tails off and have really showed major improvements in our system. Obviously, we're moving forward. I see a plan where both of them will have some role with our team, but just not ready to announce to the public who it is. We do know who our quarterback will be. We have had the conversations with the players that are involved, and we're excited about the direction. But again, from a competitive advantage standpoint, it really does us no good to announce our starting quarterback today.
Do you anticipate making that decision public before kickoff?
I haven't thought that far down the road, and trying to, today's a Tuesday practice for us, which is a big normal down and distance, short yardage goal line. So I hadn't even thought that far, Sean. And, I'll get with Dustin and our guys here and find out what the best way to do it. But as I've stated, I've spoken with, the two quarterbacks. They're familiar. Our team is familiar with who the starter is as we've begun our Northwestern prep. And, I can tell you that because of the depth that we've created with both those guys and their abilities, we're not going to hesitate to create advantages for us based on what they both can do.
We'll go to Emily.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Hey, Emily.
I was just curious about Tarheeb's still one of the few true freshmen in the two deep, and especially with the short and not having spring. What did he show in fall camp to kind of earn your trust so much?
Yeah, he's one of the young players, and we have a bunch, and we got 56 new faces. So there should be no surprise that you see some young guys in the two deep, and they're more than just, Tarheeb that I see, if we wanted to really go to three deep, because we've rotated a bunch of players and we anticipate playing a lot of first-year players just because of the depth that we had to create with bringing in new guys. But I think with Tarheeb, the thing that really jumps out is his comfort level. The stage doesn't seem too big for him. He's a guy that has fit in, assimilated easily, has picked up our system, tremendous ball skills, a guy that, that has competed really well. So, going into this game, I can see him, Deontay Banks, Kenny Bennett, as well as Jacorian Bennett and Gate are all having a role for us. But he's one of the true freshmen that's jumped out. And, we've been happy with what he's been able to show us in competitive situations.
We'll go to Lila next.
Hey, Locks, how are you?
Hey, Lila.
So yeah, you mentioned the connection with Pat Fitzgerald, and that's something he had mentioned in his weekly presser as well. Just, I know he was only at Maryland for a year, but how did that relationship and kind of coaching development form between the two of you, and how has that progressed over the years?
Yeah, I think the big thing, obviously, I had a lot of respect for Pat. I was here under Ron Vanderlinden, who was Pat's mentor, who coached Pat at Northwestern, a two-time All-American, well-respected football player in his own right. And so coming here under the Vanderlinden regime and getting to know him as a young former player turned coach, the thing that jumped out was just how detailed he was, and it was something that you knew he'd be really successful at. And then I had a chance to watch him grow as a young assistant when he took over, the Northwestern program under those adverse conditions of losing their head football coach. And me being at Illinois at the time, and the natural rivalry between Illinois and Northwestern. So there's always been a really fondness as far as me and our relationship and how it's grown over the years. But, just also a great amount of respect that I have for the job he's done at a place like Northwestern, which, prior to going to the Rose Bowl during his senior year, hadn't had a lot of success. And he's been able to build on that and keep it going for a long period of time. So it's a program I've got a lot of respect for.
And just as a follow-up for that, like what are some things that you've been able to learn from him over the years and that you've kind of passed on to him as well, just in kind of, both coaching in the same conference and just developing as coaches?
Yeah, I mean, just from afar and even just personally, Pat's been one of those guys that has constantly, we've stayed in touch over the years, no matter where I've been, where he's been in his career. And obviously me coming back into the Big Ten and being a head coach here at Maryland, he and I get to spend a little more time, more Zoom. We've spent a lot of time on these Zoom meetings with head coaches and texting back and forth, but just typical head coaches relationships. And I think ours is maybe a little closer just because of the amount of time we've known each other, and, him getting into the business when I was a young assistant here in the late 90s. So it's a lot of things that we've just continued to develop our relationship over the years.
Thank you.
Yep.
Scott Abraham, please unmute.
Hey, Coach Locke, Scott Abraham, ABC7. Good to see you. Obviously, you're not announcing publicly who the starting quarterback will be on Saturday. So whoever starts on Saturday, is that basically going to be your starter for the rest of the season, or are you going to take this by a game-by-game basis?
No, as I told the guys when we met, the starter doesn't have to look over his shoulder. We're not looking to every week have and create this controversy that I know so many people love to have. But I also will say that they are also well aware that this is a production-based business that we live in, and they need to compete and do their job. I don't foresee us putting short leashes or all the different things that come up when you name a quarterback or when you present a starter at the quarterback position. I want them to have every confidence, knowing that as a coaching staff and as a team, we have confidence in them. But again, because of, I think, the depth that's been created with this competition, and as I've done at a lot of different places I've been, there's something to be said when one of the quarterbacks that maybe not is the starter that offers a skill set that can help as a playmaker in your offensive system to utilize that skill set. I did it at Alabama with Jalen and Tua, where we had combination packages and we did certain things that each did well. And I can foresee us doing that here just because of just how both guys have developed and some of the things that they do differently, more than they are the same. So I'm excited about the room and what both those guys offer our offensive system.
A quick follow-up. Obviously, it's never easy to make a big decision like this, especially for two young men that you love and care for. Just take me through that process and how difficult that was for you to kind of sit both of these individuals down and tell them you're the starter and you're not going to be the starter.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've been a part of having to do this quite a bit in my early career of being an offensive coordinator or head coach with the quarterback position. And what I found to be the most effective way in all full transparency is I met with both of them together to break the news. I sat them down. We met Sunday at 5. Went into great detail about the thoughts and the metrics behind the decision that was made. I encouraged both of them to share the feelings they had if in fact they didn't agree, so that when we left the room, everything that needed to be said was said. Both of them handled it and managed it very professionally, as I would have expected. Obviously, the guy that isn't the starter, I'm sure, isn't happy. But like I've told both of them, I made the commitment to both of them that we will continue to develop them in our system and in our program, and that we would do all we could to make sure we utilize their skill sets if it adds value to what we can do on offense, that opportunity. So tough conversation, but one that needed to be had, and did it the right way, and they both have managed and handled it the right way for young players. And then the next thing is I met with them both individually after that to make sure that what was said, that there was a comfort level, and if there was, again, anything that needed to be said that they maybe didn't want to say in front of each other, to have that opportunity. And both those meetings went well as well. And we came out, practiced yesterday, and it's been business as usual.
Thanks, Coach.
Heather McDonough.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Hey, Heather.
Hey. So what has been the big, we've talked last week, you said the 10 days, you didn't want to, get too excited. Now we're a few days away. So I guess, is it feeling, are you confident about as much as you can be about playing a game? And secondarily, what have you learned about your team with all the ups and downs, to this point?
Yeah, as I said before, I'm still cautiously optimistic. Every day you hear about a coach that tests positive, or, players that test positive, and then you have, some of them are false positives. So I'm still on, like I said, pins and needles that we can just continue to get to the point where we get on the road. And then obviously the test on game day is going to be really important, because at any time, it's one of the reasons naming a starter, all of a sudden one of these guys tests positive and the next guy has got to be up and ready. But, I think the biggest thing I've learned about the team, and I said it in my opening statement, is just all the things that they've gone through, from the time we walked off the field with Michigan State, and, the amount of change in our program with, I think, 56 new players, a couple of new coaches, obviously the start and stops of the spring season being lost, our spring ball being lost, countless Zoom meetings, stoppages of training, and then the temporary cancellation of the season, that they all just continue to fight through the adversity. And to me, that's what I love about the great game of football, how it is as closely to anything that emulates what real life is about. And for these guys, this life experience of fighting through adverse situations, not quitting, not giving up. I've seen players, opt out and then all of a sudden opt back in because they feel comfortable or more comfortable with some of the things we're doing, and their ability to adjust. It's so hard with 18 to 22-year-olds to get them to make these adjustments. And we're all creatures of habit in nature as people, but what 2020 and what COVID and the pandemic has done is it's not allowed us to be creatures of habit, because every day is a new day and it's a new situation or a new obstacle. And like I said, the players in this program, the parents, the staff, and even the local community, Prince George's County, where we're located, and just the DMV have all just fought through this thing and, kept our head up and kept pushing forward. So I've been excited and happy to see how we've managed that piece of it, especially mentally as much more as physically.
And just one more quick one. I know you don't have quarterback news. There's Adam Schefter reporting that Tua is actually going to be named. I see the smile on your face, the starter for the Dolphins. They have the bye this week. I'm assuming you saw that news in the last hour. What goes through your mind knowing him and seeing everything he's worked through with the injury and certainly worked under Ryan Fitzpatrick? What goes through your mind?
Yeah, just actually saw it as I walked down here to start this press conference, and Dustin pointed it out to me. Really happy for Tua. I know for a competitor, the frustration of not playing, but I also understand what the NFL is about and even what big-time college football is all about when these decisions are made. Obviously the Dolphins feel he is ready or is at the point to where he could be a starter. I got to say I got a lot of respect for Ryan Fitzpatrick and the type of player he is and what he's been. For Tua, having spoken to Tua, which I typically speak to him a couple times a week, I just know the admiration and respect he has for Ryan Fitzpatrick is it's great. Everything he says about it, how he's helped him along the way. So again, my hat's off to Ryan Fitzpatrick, but excited for Tua to get the opportunity that he wanted, and wishing him good luck the rest of the season and staying healthy as well.
We'll go to Alex Dacey next.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for taking a few minutes this morning, or this afternoon, I guess.
Yeah.
So switching away to the defense for right now, I know at linebacker, Shaq Smith started most of the games last year, but I saw entering week one, he's second on the depth chart. So could you just sort of go through your thought process there and in naming a couple players ahead of him and what opportunities he might have going forward?
Yeah, I mean, Shaq is a veteran player that's in our two deep. Last year he played outside linebacker for us. He played Jack, which was an outside backer position, and he felt his more natural position, which he's played most of his career, was the inside linebacker position. And so one of the things I've done and learned as a head coach is, you always play players where they feel they best can help the team. I've never forced a player to play a position that they don't want to play. Now, I do strongly suggest and show them where the opportunities may lie, but I can tell you Shaq's leadership, his game experience of playing winning football, he's a well-respected member of our team. He'll have a role with us, and I know a lot is always made of these depth charts, which as coaches, I mean, it's like doomsday when a depth chart comes out because you think that, oh, that's my role. Well, it doesn't speak or show exactly what his role is. Shaq is a guy that will play a lot of football for us on defense, on special teams, and the fact that we put a depth chart out doesn't necessarily represent what his role is or what it will be. So happy with the way he's competed. I feel like, as I said before, our linebacker position is one that has great depth on the interior part of it with Chance and Ace Ely, both returning players. The addition of Fanaje Gote and his playmaking ability. Ruben Hippolyte's been a really, great freshman to come in. Cortez Andrews, who played a bunch last year for us as well. So, and Shaq moving there. So we've got 6 guys that you're going to see all play, which, again, we've built depth up on that side of the ball in certain positions that allow us to have guys and put them in roles where they can go excel. And that's what we expect to do with Shaq.
We'll go to Ed Lee next.
Mike, how have you seen Jake Funk cope with back-to-back season-ending ACL injuries?
Yeah, Jake has been really steady Eddie. I mean, he's one of our leaders of our team, both on and off the field. We've tried to do everything we can to manage him because he's one of those guys that he only knows one speed. And so we've had to kind of put the reins or pull the reins on him a little bit to slow him down, where we minimize the, how much practice time and reps he takes because he's such a special player and brings so much value to us on the offensive side and on special teams. So, seeing the way he's battled back through these injuries, I mean, he's in great shape, looks good, has had a great camp for us, and excited that we've gotten him to this point to hopefully be able to go out, create some value for himself as a football player in our offensive system.
Is he capable of being that sort of lead running back the offense needs?
He is that lead running back and very capable. He's a 3-down guy. He's a guy that's smart in protection, runs good routes, can get us tough short yardage, has a nose for the end zone. So there's no doubt that he's one of our primary guys. But as I've always stated, and as you'll continue to see and hear how we play our players, we're going to create roles for everybody in our program. And those roles will change or remain the same based on their production. And, Jake is one of those guys that has created a niche for himself as a ball carrier, as a leader, really knowledgeable of our system, and has had a great camp. And so, again, I see him playing a major role for us on offense, but we also, like the linebacker position, have great depth at the tailback position now with Fleet Davis, being back, as well as, the development of Isaiah Jacobs and Penny Boone as well. And the addition of Challen, who was a great add-on to our team as well. So we're excited about that room as well.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Okay, we have time for 2 more. We'll go to Andy Koska.
Hey, Coach, piggybacking on the running backs, how is Tayon Fleet Davis back?
I didn't hear the end of your question.
How is Tayon Fleet Davis carried back from what happened last year?
How is Tayon Fleet Davis carrying himself? Is that the question?
Like, how is he showing up in practice?
Okay.
Is he back that you think can contribute?
Yeah, Fleet is a valuable member of our team. Obviously he had to earn the right to be back a part of it. We put some really strict guidelines on him in an effort to make sure that the type of behavior that he displayed, that we made corrections to it. And I've been happy with the way he's managed himself since he's been back with our program. He's definitely a football player that can help our team. And as he has shown, throughout training camp and practices, his leadership is still there. He's a guy that's really well respected on our team because of how he practices and how he works. And then he just offers a really unique skill set in that he's kind of a jack of all trades guy that catches the ball well. He's got great vision as a runner, but even, plays with just the tenacity and the effort that you really want to see out of that position. And so he's been good to have back. I'm happy with what he's doing for us thus far, and really excited to see how he goes out and plays this year.
All right, for our last one, we'll go to Charlotte McBride.
Hey there, Coach. You said you liked what you saw in the last scrimmage. You said there's a little work to be done, not a lot, which is good. What specifically, though, do you need to see from these guys in these last few days of practice before game 1?
Well, I think the big piece of it for us is, and I talked about it at the beginning, that discipline will define our season. We still have way too many self-inflicted errors. We have referees out at practice every day, and we have the Big Ten officials here, and still too many of the self-inflicted penalties, the false starts, the offside penalties. These are all things we can control. I don't see the playing the game penalties as a major issue as much as I just hate when we beat ourselves. And I can tell you, playing Northwestern, they're one of those teams that they don't beat themselves. They do what they do on offense, defense, and special teams, and they just put you in a situation to where you go out and you beat yourself, and they don't do that. And so good teams don't beat themselves. Again, we got 56 new faces that haven't been Terps, and just working through the kinks of making sure that we understand that it's going to take playing with great discipline and not beating ourselves to have the type of season we want to have. And it's the same discipline we got to show off the field if we want to continue to play, by just following the protocols and all the things that are being put in place for us to have a season. So, to me, that's the biggest issue I've had, and looking forward to seeing us get it corrected fast.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.